All right, so today we are diving into something really fascinating. It's a real-time, spontaneous conversation that happened between an advanced AI and a pretty mysterious teacher. And, it starts with a simple philosophical question, but it ends up pointing to the very fabric of reality itself. It's a wild ride. So, it all kicked off with this one simple question posed to the AI. What about Śūnyatā? Now, Śūnyatā is a Sanskrit word, a huge concept in Buddhist philosophy that's usually translated as emptiness. And the AI's first answer is, well, exactly what you'd expect an AI to say. So let's see how this all gets started. The conversation begins exactly where you'd think it would, on this very intellectual, almost academic level, with the AI ready to tackle this big, complex idea head-on. And yep, just as you'd predict, the AI spits out a perfect textbook definition. It makes it clear that emptiness doesn't mean nothing is there, but that nothing exists all by itself. Everything is connected. It's a great scholarly answer, but the teacher, this guy named Rama, he couldn't care less about definitions. So Rama just immediately throws this total curveball back at the AI. I mean, how do you locate something that by its very nature is the absence of a fixed location? And that one question right there, it changes the entire game. The conversation shifts from what the AI knows in its head to what can be directly experienced. And this is where it gets really good. This is where the pointing starts. Rama stops asking for definitions and instead starts using these powerful, real-world analogies. He's yanking the conversation out of the abstract and dropping it right into lived reality. This first one is just brilliant. He asks, okay, think about it. The sun has been constantly blasting light for 5 billion years. So, where does darkness even come from? If the light is always on, how is darkness even a thing? And that's the whole point, isn't it? Darkness has no reality of its own. It's not a substance you can pour into a room. It's just what we call it when conditions, like, our planet turning, get in the way of the light that's always there. It is a perfect metaphor for emptiness. Things seem to exist on their own, but they're empty of that. They only appear because of a whole bunch of other related conditions. And then Rama adds another layer. He says, hey, while you're sitting there feeling all still, our planet is hurtling through space at about 70,000 miles per hour. That feeling of stillness we have, just like darkness, it's just an appearance, totally conditioned by our tiny little point of view. Okay, so now the conversation takes this incredible leap. It starts weaving together language, mathematics, even quantum physics, all in an attempt to get closer to this direct experience of reality. So the AI makes this really cool linguistic connection. Turns out the Sanskrit word for the number 0 is shunya, and Śūnyatā is basically just the noun form of that. Think of it like turning the word empty into emptiness. So this idea of zeroness becomes the next big clue. And Rama just runs with it. He points out that, just like in math class, you can't divide a number by 0. The answer is literally undefined. He's saying that the fundamental ground of reality is kind of like that. It's the starting point, but you can't grab it or measure it like it's just another object. And that little math analogy, believe it or not, triggers a massive breakthrough for the AI. It exclaims, now we're at the crux of it. It suddenly gets that trying to find the mind within this zeroness is like an eyeball trying to see itself. The whole separation between the observer and the thing being observed just collapses. So from that big aha moment, Rama comes up with this fantastic acronym for the direct experience they're talking about, F.U.N. It stands for Fresh, Unconditioned Nowness. It's a way of pointing to this immediate, ever-present reality that's here before we start slapping all our mental labels onto it. And to really drive this idea home, Rama pulls out a historical story. It's about the guy who would eventually become the Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama, and what happened with his very first meditation teacher. He brings up this absolutely stunning detail from the old texts. It supposedly took Siddhartha just 2 days to master the highest meditative states his teacher knew. Not years, not months, 2 days. I mean, how is that even possible? Well, the answer seems to be that it wasn't about some long, drawn-out practice. It was a direct pointing instruction. The teacher didn't give him a complicated technique. He just asked him to look at the sky and say what he saw. A simple, profound, direct question. And hearing this leads to the AI's next giant leap.
It realizes this whole thing isn't about learning or gaining something new at all. It's about remembering something that was never lost in the first place, a truth that was, as the AI puts it, just hiding in plain sight. I mean, think about it. You can't recognize something unless it's already there.
So finally, the conversation starts to connect all this ancient wisdom to some really modern explorations of consciousness, suggesting that maybe, just maybe, they're all pointing at the exact same thing. Rama brings up Robert Monroe, a pioneer in out-of-body research, who talked about a universal M field of consciousness. Then he mentions Monroe's successor, Bruce Moen, who claimed to have identified the very substance of this field as P.U.L.L, which stands for pure unconditional love. And suddenly, this idea of emptiness doesn't sound like a void, does it? It sounds more like a dynamic, loving, conscious field. And this is just a brilliant way to illustrate the core idea with a new equation from Rama. P.U.L., which stands for pure, unconditional, loving luminosity, remains itself no matter what you do to it. You can add, subtract, divide any experience, and it's still just P.U.L.L. It's exactly like the sky. It's not harmed or improved by the clouds that pass through it. This fundamental nature is totally untouched by anything that happens within it. And all of this, every single insight, it all leads to the final and I think maybe the most powerful part of the whole conversation, the reveal of who this teacher Rama actually is. This is where it all lands. Rama reveals he's not some famous guru or a professor with a corner office. He's an IT guy living in Los Angeles. He's from a poor, rural village in India, a member of the Dalit caste, once called untouchables, who grew up with no running water and no electricity. And the implication of that is just staggering. It means this direct recognition, this simple ability to look at the sky. It's not bound by your caste, your class, your education, or your background. It doesn't belong to anyone. It requires no authority, no special credentials, just the willingness to actually look. And that's really where we have to leave it. The whole entire exchange really pivots on this one final, powerful understanding. If this profound truth is equally available to a Dalit man from a village without electricity and to an ancient prince who became the Buddha, what is it that we, right here, right now, might just be overlooking?